Hi new shooter, Sean Burrows with Team Federal and Atlas Gunworks here with the second video in a dry fire series designed to help you become a more competent, confident, and comfortable executioner of the pistol. Today we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of trigger control. Regardless of weapon platform, whether you're shooting a pistol or a long gun, trigger control is the undergirding and overarching mechanical skill that makes or breaks a successful shot. In the last video I showed you a very simple but effective drill. It's one of the most important to me that helps you train your body mechanics to more readily align your pistol sights with your eyes and your target. However, the most efficient sight alignment in the world isn't any good if we have poor trigger control. So today we're going to go over the fundamentals of making sure you move that trigger straight back, keep those sights aligned just long enough to get that shot out of the barrel of your gun and on target. So, I've got my pistol right here. Let's make sure it's clear, both visually, tactily. No magazine in the gun. We don't need a magazine for this drill. And I've got the hammer cocked back and the safety on. When a gun is cocked or charged and ready to fire, there is a little bit of play before you reach what's called the wall. That's called the pre-travel or the take-up. It's just a little bit of movement on some guns and it's a whole lot of movement on other guns. Every design's a little bit different, but at a certain point you'll hit a little bit of resistance. That means if you apply any extra amount of pressure, you will break the shot. Anything past that is what they call the over travel. Some guns have a lot, some don't have very much at all. Then, after the gun cycles a new round, the reset comes into play. That means the trigger comes forward again, and you'll hear a little click. Depending on the design of the gun and the type of trigger it is, you might have a little bit of pre-travel before you come back to the wall. This is a precision design gun. There isn't much, if any, at all, and then you can break another shot. Pre-travel, wall, break, reset. So that is the anatomy of a trigger pull. You want to know where that reset is for follow-up shots, but for right now, I want to make sure you get that first shot off correctly. Stepping back from pistol presentation just for a bit, recognize that aiming, stance, grip, all those fundamental things are extra and don't matter if, when I try to move the trigger, I move the gun also. So for example, if I had a gun that was too small and didn't fit my hand, I would be over inserting my finger into the pistol and putting too much pressure on the inside of the gun, the left side for me, and as a result, too much pressure to break the shot would cause my hits to be low and to the left. Likewise, if my hand was too small and I wasn't quite able to get my finger on the trigger and I'm putting too much pressure on the right or the outside of the trigger, my shots will be often high and right. Now, if you've ever had results like this and you've been in a pistol instruction course or you've had somebody go to the range with you that's good with guns, they're probably going to say, quit mashing the trigger, quit yanking the trigger. Which, yes, that's what you're doing, but there are other elements at play. Yanking the trigger is not the problem. The actual problem is the sights are moving. If you can yank the trigger without moving the sights, you can shoot really, really fast. Now, bear with me, it is not easy to do. It is a very perishable skill and you got to keep up on it daily in order for it to be an effective option in your shooting skills toolbox. But it is an option. As far as grip tension goes, a really tight grip can cover up and minimize the effects of a really bad trigger pull, but those aren't cures, it's just a band-aid on a figurative bullet wound. To the extent that grip doesn't matter when it comes to accuracy, we've seen Jerry Michalik on YouTube shoot a revolver upside down with his pinky at 200 yards. He moved the trigger without moving the gun. So, what we want to do is learn how to effectively and consistently pull the trigger in different situations without disrupting the sights. The first part is to put the gun right in front of you like this. Rack the slide and watch the front sight. Hold the trigger back, rack the slide again, let the trigger reset. Watch the front sight. Keep it as still as possible. So here is the drill I want you to be able to work up to. It's all about learning how to control your trigger with a little bit of physical feedback on how you're doing. So I have here a snap caps dummy round. It's in the size of a 9mm cartridge. It has a little rubber thing for the primer area. And I'm just gonna set it on top of the flat part of the slide of my gun. It's easier to have someone place it on your gun. Watch, does it move in relation to my trigger pull? If it's staying on your gun, you're in a good spot. Now on most stock guns, you can rest it on your front sight for a little bit more effect. And if you've got a partner, wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, you can have them rest it on after the gun's extended. So one of the things I like to do for rapid, precise shots is just play with the take-up while the gun is cocked without letting it break and without losing the round on the front end of my gun. And that's the drill. Play with it. See what you can do with your pistol. Start out with trying not to drop the dummy round or any other object. Get a marker cap, I don't care, from off the top of your gun. Then, from there, try to drop it. Try to see how far you can go, how fast you can move the trigger, how hard you can push on it, how light you can move the trigger in order to make it break. Play with tensions and speeds and see what you become capable of. Obviously, you'll get better at it the more time you spend with it. Of course, you'll see people on Instagram just start with like, oh, I got a good trigger press. See, didn't move. Okay, cool. Well, what can you do before it moves? Find that level of failure. Failure is what lets you know how good you actually are. Then you know what your 101% is. Back off to 100% when you actually have to shoot. But wow, I know what I can do at speed or different pressures. So I know when I'm under stress, I'm able to get away with so much more speed and so much more pressure on the trigger in order to make things happen. A quick word about trigger manipulation nomenclature. Whatever you decide to call it doesn't matter if it works for you. I'm talking about controlling the trigger. Squeeze it, press it, pull it, whatever it takes to move it straight back and keep the gun still. That is the objective, not what word you use. No one can hear you while you're talking and shooting anyway. Some will say they're more concerned with accuracy and not so much with speed. The truth is, if you are discharging rounds rapidly and missing your target, you are not shooting fast, you're just pulling a trigger fast. Shooting fast involves getting your hits. Getting your hits is all about being able to move the trigger without moving the gun once the gun and the target are aligned with your line of sight. The second you start missing, your trigger control is out of control. As your other skills develop, you will constantly be revisiting what your trigger finger is doing on the trigger. It's something to always look at first once something seems out of place and you're not getting the results that you thought you would get. Again, just like the other drill, this is very basic, this is very simple, but there's so much to this nuanced concept of controlling the trigger and the gun while you're shooting. You can spend a lot of time on this, and I encourage you to. These are some of the things that will help you go eons beyond anyone else that started shooting the same time you have. So, if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them in the comments below. If you have any requests, happy to hear about those too. Again, I'm Sean Burrows. I hope this was useful. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hey, thanks again for watching. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, please share it with other people that are trying to get into pistol shooting. A lot more on fundamentals and dry fire drills for beginning, intermediate, and advanced shooters. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later.